What's up, guys? Welcome back to this Commander deck tech. This week we are doing Slimefoot and Squee. This was in one of the Phyrexia sets recently. So they took a whole bunch of legendary creatures and put them onto one card. So Slimefoot and Squee, there was Yargle and Multani, there was Ren and... I don't remember who they paired Ren with from Ren and 6, but they paired him with someone. So there was a whole bunch of them that were in that set. But this is the one that caught my eye. It's a Reanimator style deck. It is Jund colors, which is awesome. And it was on game nights a few months back. Might be almost a year at this point. Don't quote me on that. I haven't seen that episode in quite some time. And I'm pretty sure this deck won that game, if I remember correctly. But this is definitely not that deck, that build anyway. The one that they had on game nights was like $2,000 or $3,000 or something. And yeah, I ain't got money like that. So this is a budget build. I really enjoy this deck. This has been kind of my pet deck lately. I play this deck quite a bit. Yeah, and I don't have too many issues with it outside of the fact that the mana base, because I'm running Hermit Druid in this, which we'll get to in a second. The mana base for this deck, I'm only running 5 basics. Like always, I'm not going to go over the mana base. I'm going to leave it in the description box for you guys to go check out. But something about only having 5 basics kind of bothers me overall. But let's jump into this deck, guys. Kicking it off with the creatures. Kicking it off with my favorite creature in the whole deck, Hermit Druid. You pay a green, tap it, reveal top cards from your library until you reveal a basic land card. Put that card in your hand and put all the others revealed this way into the graveyard. Now, this is a Reanimator deck, so we want our stuff in the graveyard. And we're only running 5 basics. It's a 99 card deck. So you start with 7 cards in your hand, so you figure there's 92 other cards in your deck if you open with Hermit Druid. 90, let's call it 90, because you're not going to play Hermit Druid on turn 1. So you have 7, you draw a card. Probably turn 2 or 3, you'll play Hermit Druid and activate it. So you're looking at like 90 cards in your deck, and only 5 of them are going to be basic lands. If you don't have any of them in your hand. But the next card in the deck, another one of my favorites, is Sir Conrad the Grim. That's my little munchkin on the picture there. But Sir Conrad the Grim, another great card for this deck. Whenever a creature dies or a creature is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves the graveyard, Sir Conrad deals 1 damage to each opponent. This with Hermit Druid, great. This with your commander, great. This with most of the other Reanimator cards in this deck is an amazing card. Next card in the deck is Shieldred, the Whispering one. Not the Shieldred that came out in the new Phyrexia set. The All Will Be One set. This one, at the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature from your graveyard to your battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, they have to sacrifice a creature. Purphoros, Bronze Blooded, gives all your other creatures haste. You want your big creatures coming back, and you want them to be able to attack right away. Haste is a great way to do that. We got Llanowar Elves, because of Mana Dork. Vorinclex. Now, this card, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 forest cards, reveal them, put them in your hand. You can pay 8, exile Vorinclex, and return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. So, the backside of Vorinclex is the good side here. It is a saga. The first chapter of the saga, mill 10 cards, put up to 2 creatures. Cards from among them, milled cards onto the battlefield. The second one distributes 7 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. And the third one, until end of turn, creatures you control gain pay 1. This creature fights target creature you don't control, and then exile this and return it to the battlefield front face up. So it'll just keep flipping itself and flipping itself if you keep paying the 8 on the front. It'll go through, it'll flip, it'll go through the 3 turns, it'll flip back over to the other side, you pay the 8 again, it'll go through the 3 turns, and flip it over again. And you get this off once, the game's practically over. Torment the Desecrator, because we're going to have stuff leaving our graveyard, so we might as well make zombies along the way. Soul of Windgrace, because lands are going to land up in our graveyard. We might as well be able to play some of them from our graveyard, and we can discard them to draw cards, discard them to gain life, or discard them to give this card indestructible, and then whenever it enters battlefield or attacks, we put a land from our graveyard on the battlefield. Machias the Unhallowed. This card, I don't know how I feel about this card. Has Intimidate. Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Other non-human creatures you control have +1/+1 and then Undying. Which means when they die, if they had no +1/+1 counters, they return to the battlefield under your control with a +1/+1 counter on them. So if you can't get your commander going, this is another nice way to bring stuff back from your graveyard. Another Reanimator package. Woe Strider. Brute Dragon. This is only in here because when it enters the battlefield, it makes another 4/4 dragon. So if you're going to abuse this with all your Reanimator stuff, you're just going to keep making 4/4 dragons. And at some point, those are kind of tough to deal with. Omnath, Locus of Rage. Landfall, it makes 5/5 elementals. And whenever Omnath or another elemental dies, deal 3 damage to any target. Blood Artist, because we're going to have stuff dying. Mina and Den to play additional lands. Grey Merchant of Asphodel, because why not? Deals damage to all of our opponents. Meteor Golem. Sea Guide Ash. A way to thin your deck, find some more lands. Dragon Mage. Now this card could be better, but when it deals combat damage to a player, each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. Now, depending on what's in your hand, obviously you might care if it all goes to the grave, or you might not. But more chances than not, you really don't care if your hand goes to the graveyard. You rather just have the stuff in the grave so you can start the whole process over again to reanimate stuff. Got Yargle and Multani. It has no abilities, but it's an 18/6. Like, if we can play this for free, I'm okay with an 18/6. Viscera, another way to get our stuff to the graveyard. Savella Ice Shaper, just in case our Reanimator idea doesn't work out for us. Sadistic Hypnotist, another way to get stuff back into our graveyard so we can reanimate it again. Torgar. Gormand. Terastodon, because why not? Butcher Malik here, because our stuff's going to be dying all the time. And what better way than to just bring it all back? Acidic Slime. Fauna Shaman to search our deck a little bit. Red Dragon. When it enters battlefield, deal 4 damage to each opponent. Another great card to just keep reanimating over and over and over again. Triplicate Titan. Now, you can run like Worm Coil Engine and stuff like that, but Triplicate Titan I kind of enjoy. When it dies, you create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact with flying, a 3/3 golem artifact with vigilance, and a 3/3 golem artifact with trample. So you're getting 3 creatures for 1, so you just reanimate this 2, 3, 4 times. Let's say you reanimate it 4 times, now you got 12 3/3s on the board. Ways to give them haste, and you're just gonna go off. Yahenni, another way to get stuff into the graveyard. Gissa, this is a fun card. Most people don't see this one coming. If an opponent's creature dies, exile it instead. At the beginning of your upkeep, put all creatures exiled with Gissa onto the battlefield under your control. They have decayed, so when they attack, they sacrifice at the end of combat. Another great card, because like once we get our setup, once we get, let's say, Butcher Malakir on the board, and we just keep sacking our creatures, we'll just have everybody else's creatures. What do we need ours for? Now, we need other ways to make some saplings. So, Namada. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. If you do, create a 1/1 green sapling. Tendershoot Dryad. Another way to make some saplings. And Tendershoot Dryad makes them buff if you have the City's Blessing, which 9 times out of 10 we will. Verdant Force. And then the last card in the deck, Thantis the Weaver. Now, Thantis the Weaver, all creatures attack each combat if able. When a creature attacks, you or a planeswalker you control put a +1/+1 counter on Thantis the Weaver. So, Yeah, I mean, our shit's gonna die anyway. Might as well make our opponent's attack so their shit dies too. Right? Alright, that's all the creatures in the deck. There is a hefty amount of creatures. Like always, the list will be in the description box for you guys to check out. And I'm not going to go over the lands because that would just take way too long to go over all of those. Let's jump into the artifacts. We'll make this as quick as we can here. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Ashnod's Altar, another way to get our stuff to the graveyard. Commander Spear, Lightning Greaves, Conduit of Worlds to play our lands from the graveyard, and Wishclaw Talisman because it's fun. You search a card, give it to your opponent, let them search for a card. Instance, we got Jund Charm, Terminate, Dark Ritual, Entomb to get stuff to our graveyard, Village Rites, Grizzly Salvage, Murder because why not, Crop Rotation, Corpse Churn to get more stuff in there. I used this the other day and didn't hit any fucking creatures. Slaughter Pact to kill some more stuff. Costly Plunder, Deadly Rollick. It's a free spell if you have your commander on the board. Diabolic Intent is a sorcery. Victimize, Heuristic Tutor, Diabolic Tutor with another cute kid on it. Faithless Looting, Profane Tutor. Obviously, we got to run our tutors because you got to be able to get to the cards you need. Cathartic Reunion, Sign in Blood. I love that artwork of Sign in Blood, actually. Enchantments, Necrogenesis, Dictative Erebos, another way to get our opponent's stuff off the board. Fertile Ground, and then Bind the Old Gods. So guys, that is the entire deck tech. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any cards you guys would suggest running, let me know. Maybe there's something that I don't know exists, because I haven't really looked at the new sets lately, so there might be cards that are good for reanimator decks that I might not know about. And like always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.